Well, you know what the Bible says. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other one also. Yeah, that doesn't mean what you think.
Hey everybody, I've been tagged many times in this video, and this is not the first time this content creator has posted an almost identical video. A little over a month and a half ago, they posted a video that began like this.
The Bible verse about turning the other cheek does not mean what you think it means.
And then the next day they posted a video that began like this.
Well, you know what the Bible says. If they force you to go 1 mile, go 2 with them. Yeah, that passage doesn't mean what you think it means.
And so instead of just recording a new response, which is going to be pretty much the same thing I responded last time, I will just share that initial response of mine, which I believe this content creator has seen, and they're continuing to share this misinformation. So, and you'll get another fit in that other video, but for today, the fit is Power Man, aka Luke Cage.
All right, let's see it.
What do you mean? Of course it does. Turn the other cheek, go the extra mile. If someone takes your tunic, give them your cloak also. No, these passages actually aren't about being really nice. It's actually about subtly subverting injustices. What? How do you figure that? Because in the culture that Jesus is in, if you wanted to humiliate someone, you would backhand them. But if you wanted to fight them fair as an equal, you would have to use the front of your hand. Interesting. And the whole go the extra mile thing. So there was actually a Roman law for the soldiers saying that they could only force people to go with them 1 mile. They could only force you to carry their burdens for 1 mile. If you were to go further than that, they would actually get in trouble for that. Really? Yeah, and for the tunic thing, if you were to lose your tunic where you had to give it to someone or if they were robbing you, and then you gave them your cloak also, that would actually leave you naked. And in Jesus's culture at the time, if you were looking at a naked person, you were the person who was actually shamed, not the naked person. I've always taken these verses to mean that you're supposed to be extra generous and extra servant-hearted, but you're saying it means Jesus was saying that you point out injustice in the systems by taking them to the logical extreme. This points out those who are committing these injustices the error of their ways.
So this idea comes from a theologian named Walter Wink, who has published a series of books and articles arguing that we should be interpreting the Sermon on the Mount and other sermons from Jesus as advocacy for a kind of nonviolent resistance as an anti-imperial subversive act. And so you can look at his 1992 book, Engaging the Powers, or his 1998 book, The Powers That Be, or his 2003 book, Jesus and Nonviolence, where he lays out this interpretive approach to these passages in the Sermon on the Mount and elsewhere. The only problem is there are absolutely no data that support the notion there was any such law that prohibited Roman soldiers from impressing civilians for more than 1 mile. There were laws that allowed them to impress civilians, require that they provide services to them, but there are no laws that strictly define any kind of limits to that impressment, and they wouldn't really have done much anyway, because a Roman soldier could just say, oh, they volunteered. So it sounds to me that Walter Wink just imagined that there must have been limits somewhere, and went from that to asserting that there were limits, and that Jesus was referring to these limits when he said, go with them 2 miles. And the other passages about turning the other cheek, these are just guesses regarding how people would have interpreted these. The overwhelming majority of scholars don't think there is enough data to support these interpretations, and that these passages are really advocating for a kind of radical generosity going above and beyond what is expected. But anyone who is sensitive to systemic power asymmetries can sympathize with the desire to want to interpret this as advocacy for nonviolent resistance, for anti-imperial subversion, and these kinds of things. So it's obviously an attractive reading for an awful lot of folks, and I can appreciate the rhetorical goals of this kind of approach, but there are no data really that support it. It's rejected by the overwhelming majority of scholars, and there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever for any such limits that was imposed upon Roman soldiers regarding their ability to impress civilians into service. And the fit for this video has been Ghost Skeletor.